So this is going to be the Razer Kishi in an honest review. Actually, design-wise, I really like the design and feel of this controller itself. I was using a clip and controller before, and even though I really like the setup of the clip and controller, one of the main things that happen is this can be very top-heavy. Let me go ahead and put my note into it so you can see what I'm talking about. As you can see, one of the main things for me with the clip is that it can be very top heavy. When I was using a larger phone, it felt like the phone itself was going to fall rather than being comfortably placed while I was gaming. And a lot of the things I ran into was going to be the way I was positioning while gaming. See, one of the things with the clip is that if you're not really secure underneath it, this phone just doesn't feel stable altogether, and it can be a little bit uncomfortable gaming, especially when you're in compromising positions like lying down and don't have a way to actually brace your hands. That's where the Kishi actually excels a lot. One of the cool things is that their design is actually based on one of my other favorite consoles, which is the Nintendo Switch, which basically has the controllers on either side and the screen in the middle. The Kishi is basically the same thing. This thing is extremely portable. It's compact, as you can see. I have the Xbox One. Now, I'll preface this by saying there is a iOS version, and there's an Android version, and then there's an Xbox specific version. There's really no difference between the three other than the Android version only works on Android phones, and so does the Xbox specific one, and the iOS one, of course, is for iPhones. So depending on where you're gaming, that would be the choice that you pick. Now, they've stuck with a very simple design. If you've seen an Xbox controller before, then you should be extremely familiar with the button layout of the Kishi itself. So if you have the two analog sticks, both are clickable buttons, which feel kind of good. I mean, they're smaller analog sticks, but they don't feel flimsy, which is good. The D-pad itself is a little soft, so it's not as clicky as the other controllers. It's kind of a soft touch D-pad. You do have the Xbox specific button on the Xbox One. The other one would just be a regular home button. You have your pause and your start, and then you have the same Xbox layout with the Y, X, A, and B. You have your two back triggers, your two front bumpers, and if you turn around to the back, you see that it's clipped together. All you have to do is pull these two up, and it basically extends. Now, what's really cool is that it's just an elastic band, so your phone literally sits in between. You have your USB Type-C connection here with your speaker pass-through here, your status light, and the cool thing about this is since it's not Bluetooth or anything connected, there's no charging that's needed. It's basically just a plug and play. Now, you're wondering probably how large of a phone can actually fit in this thing. So for the most part, I do my gaming on two phones. This is my Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, and this is going to be the Pixel 5. They're two starkly different phones, and if you look on the Kishi's website, this Note 20 Ultra actually is not listed in their phones that is supported. But I found that without the case, I can kind of stretch, and it does fit pretty well, and it's stretching the band on the back just a little bit. One of the things I would be concerned about using a larger phone is because this is a band, I'm worried that it's going to stretch the band too far and then only big phones will fit. So I kind of am a little cautious using the larger phone in it, but you can see the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, which has a 6.9 inch display with dimensions of 6.49 by 3.04, fits pretty good in the Kishi. So a phone like the Pixel fits a little bit easier, and it also fits pretty snug. Now, one of the things I don't like about having a smaller phone in there with a little bit more space is you can see that it wobbles just a little bit, so you kind of have to like put a little bit of pressure just to keep it steady and straight. But other than that, it fits both phones pretty well, and the gaming experience overall is really good. Now, one of the real benefits of this versus the clip for me is just the convenience of how easy it is to plug everything in, connect it up, and be gaming in no time. And then once you're done, just how extremely portable it is that you can just basically fold it up, drop it into a bag, and you're good to go. Now, another really cool thing about this is if you look on the bottom here, there's actually a USB Type-C that you can connect, and it does have pass-through charging. So if you have your phone connected and your phone is running low on juice, you can actually just connect the USB Type-C cable into here, and it'll actually charge the phone while you're using it, which is also pretty cool. One of the really cool things is because it's a USB Type-C connection, that one-to-one connection is really there. There's really no lag or latency, which is really good, especially if you're cloud gaming like me, and that kind of is built into cloud gaming because there's going to be a natural little lag or latency to begin with. So you want to make sure that your controller has as little lag as possible. And, you know, for the most part, everything really just feels like a one-to-one connection, and it doesn't feel at all like you're not truly playing with a controller that's built into your system. And even with games that you really have to time everything out, you can really just feel like when you press the button, something's actually happening, which is extremely cool. When you're done with use, you just fold it up, click it back into place, and you're good to go. With cloud gaming become more and more prevalent, there's a bunch of different choices you can have when it comes to controllers. If you really do prefer the clip and controller thing, more power to you, that's really cool. I don't, for the most part, so I actually would recommend definitely the Razer Kishi if you want to check it out. Again, for Android or iOS, you don't necessarily need the Xbox specific version. There's no difference unless you really like Xbox branding, but this is a really good controller, with the downside that the buttons are a little smaller and they're not as forceful, not as tight as you will be used to with a normal controller, but that's to be expected because it's a mobile controller. This is high quality, it's really good, it's extremely responsive. You don't have to worry about charging. There's a lot of plus and not that much minuses to this particular device. This one is a definite recommend.